All right. Here we go, guys and gals. And boogity, boogity, boogity. Let's go racing, drivers.
Welcome back to the Loose Wheels Show, Season 3, Episode 43. That is Ethan Ignatowski. I am Andrew Hazlett. We are not live this week because we were at this thing called the NASCAR Cup Series Championship Weekend Media Day. And with that being said, Ethan, we're going to have some clips sprinkled out the preview section and splice that up, give it some juice, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Also here in the peanut gallery is Charlie. How do you pronounce your last name, Charlie?
Limoncelli.
Limoncelli.
What's going on, fans?
He is here. Anyway, let's get into the reviews because let's talk about what happened.
Because we have a lot to talk about, so yeah, let's just jump right into it.
And now for last week's race reviews.
Do it.
Corey Heim won the truck race, his 11th.
Were they racing, Andrew?
They were in Martinsville.
Yeah.
They were in Martinsville, Ridgeway, Virginia. Your final four are Heim, Honeycutt, Majeski, and Ankrum. Eliminated were Lane Riggs, Grant Enfinger, Daniel Hemrick, and Raja Caruth. Xfinity.
Were there any surprises there?
Yeah, Lane Riggs getting eliminated is a surprise. I think everyone's kind of had him circled as the next best driver behind Corey Heim on the year. Grant Enfinger made the Final Four last year. Kind of surprise eliminations. And Honeycutt, the way his season's been, 3 different teams. And Tyler Ankrum is historically hasn't produced up until this year. And this year he made the Final Four, which is, I think, at the end of the day, if he finishes whatever, first or fourth in the system, I think it's a win for him.
Yeah, it's a big jump either way.
Mm-hmm. Xfinity Series, Taylor Gray got his first career win in any National Series race. So that's good for him.
Did not do anything for him in terms of...
Yeah, he was already eliminated from the playoffs. But your final four, Connor Zilic, Carson Kvapil, Justin Allgaier, and Jesse Love. Eliminated were Sam Mayer, Sheldon Creed, Brandon Jones, and Sammy Smith.
Were you surprised by any of these? I mean, I was a little surprised.
I
guess.
I was surprised that Kvapil made it in. Kvapil's had a very quiet rookie season, no wins. I thought Mayer would have been Mayer.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about Sam Mayer later on what he did in the Xfinity race. It's going to get him an award, maybe. We'll see. Anyway, stage 1, William Byron, he led from pole. We had an incident where Wallace spun Suarez. Michael McDowell took 2 tires, everyone else took 4. And we saw Michael McDowell, he was running like 17th. He wound up being 2 laps down at the end of stage in like 31st. So all the 2-tire strategy possibility thrown out the window right away. Byron winds up winning stage 1. Stage 2, Byron leads. Suarez spins Hocevar, who they're going to be teammates next year. Then Cole Custer spins after contact from a pinball. Just one guy into another guy. Just Custer got the end of that. Cody Ware had say it with me, Ethan, a loose wheel.
Yay! No, not yay for him, though. He wasn't saying yay. Yeah.
But loose wheel, I feel like that's the first time we've got that in a while. It's synced up. Some pit, Blaney, Logano, and Hamlin were your first 3 guys out. The rest of the playoff contenders stayed out. And Byron wound up winning stage 2. Stage 3, Byron first off. A handful of guys stay out, led by Tyler Reddick, Ryan Blaney, Denny Hamlin, and Joey Logano. A few others as well. Blaney leads. Josh Berry spins after contact from a pinball. Then we have some engines go. Chase Briscoe's goes. Then Riley Herbst goes. Then it goes to Denny Hamlin. All 3 of these guys, Toyotas. something to keep an eye out for. My theory is that they were all running something to see if that got a little more performance, hurt the reliability, and whatever it was clearly hurt the reliability because they all went bing, bang, boom right after another. And I don't think we see those engines go if Hamlin and Briscoe don't win those first 2 races. I think they
right. They were probably pushing something.
Then 43 car of Eric Jones spins after playoff drivers pit. Some other drivers had yet to pit, but that led to an interesting restart where Ryan Blaney and William Byron on the front row, then a few other lead lap cars, then some lap cars, then the other playoff drivers. Blaney leads for the second time all race. Suarez spins Hocevar. Bell and Logano pit. Blaney leads. Jones has an issue. Then at this point we're at 44 to go we're under green. Byron moves Blaney for the lead. Then we have McDowell spin Hocevar. All drivers pit, which surprised me because I thought we were going to get guys staying out. I thought someone, especially Logano and Bell, who had just pitted under the previous caution, would stay out, try to be aggressive. I don't like guys that just sit on their hands and say, oh, we're going to follow everyone else, especially in a situation where, in Logano's in particular, where you have to win to get in,
right.
And he was the last guy of those guys. You sit there, okay, we're going to follow everyone else.
You got to be different. You got to be aggressive.
You got to roll the dice. It probably has like a 3% chance of working, but sometimes the 3% chance hits.
Yeah.
Sometimes you get the break you need. But the race wound up being green. William Byron wins. Byron, Hamlin, Briscoe, Larson advance. Bell, Logano, Blaney, and Chase Elliott eliminated. I give the race a 5 out of 10. We'll talk more about these guys in the previews. Let's talk about Mexico City, Ethan. I watched the final few laps, and that was something. Not good something.
I mean, we're interrupting this very NASCAR heavy show with a fairly long rant about Mexico City because there was quite a lot to talk about, honestly. It was just a wild one, and we can't start telling this story without starting with qualifying. Lando Norris landed on pole. He had Charles Leclerc and Lewis Hamilton right behind him, and his championship rivals were in 5th and 7th, respectively. Max in 5th, Oscar Piastri in 7th. And, after qualifying and throughout the entire race weekend, there was, how should I say this? A lot of diarrhea of the mouth about the gap between Lando and Oscar and why that gap existed, but we'll get more into that later on. At the start of the race, Lando maintained the lead, which, I mean, it's not that it's impressive, but at a place like Mexico with the strong slipstream from the person in first to the person in third, good on him to be able to maintain first place. But that really only partially explains what happened because entering turn 1, Lando was a little bit ahead of Charles and Lewis, but it was essentially 3 wide, and then out of nowhere, a wild Max Verstappen appeared. He thought they were at Talladega. He tried to make it 4 wide. He was half off the track on the curve. This was never going to work as a move. And so he just went straight on, decided to massively cut turn 1, go through the grass. And a lot of people, and if we're being honest, just Max fans, but there are a lot of Max fans. So a lot of people were trying to say that, he had to go out because he had no room. And there was no room, but whose fault is that? Your fault because you tried to make room where there was no room. You're not at Talladega. You're at the Mexico City street circuit. It's
not a street circuit.
It is a street circuit.
It is?
Yes.
I thought it was a road course.
No, it's a street circuit.
Huh?
I mean, it's whatever. I'm so tired, Andrew. Let me talk.
Do have something to say about this.
Say it.
When NASCAR, lowly NASCAR, who always wrecks in turn 1 at COTA, can get through turn 1 at Mexico City, and granted, the one race they did at the start, but Formula 1 can't. Come on, Formula 1 guys, learn from the NASCAR guys on how to drive, which I will say.
First time we might have ever said that.
I, as a NASCAR fan, normally Formula 1 driving standards are better than NASCAR. I will give Formula 1 credit there 1,000% in terms of how contact is. But that was clearly not the case on Sunday.
Yeah.
Figure it out, brothers.
Yeah, continuing on there, because it wasn't just Max. Charles Leclerc, he also went off for seemingly no reason at all. And while both Max and Charles, they ceded positions to where they didn't gain positions, they still kind of gained an advantage, right? Because the drivers weren't allowed to kind of challenge them because they just went off track. And so I don't really understand how neither of them were penalized. George Russell, he went on a great rant on his Instagram after the race, and if you're interested, all those screenshots are on Twitter, so just go find that. But essentially his point was that F1 shouldn't be a sport where you can do something crazy to try and gain an advantage, and when you break those rules to try and gain that advantage, you don't get a penalty just because you ended up in the same spot that you started. And George was one of those drivers that took a normal, reasonable racing line, and others, did as well. And if those guys that went off track didn't go off track, they could have battled for position and potentially come out ahead, but because those drivers essentially broke the rules, George and those other drivers didn't get a chance to do that. And even though those drivers broke the rules or bended the rules, twisted the rules in ways that they shouldn't be allowed to do, they didn't get penalized. And if you can't tell, I am with George Russell on this one. Back to the action on lap 1, though. Oscar Piastri, he had a horrible start, dropping from 7th all the way out of the points down to 11th. And Lance Stroll, he also had a random spin, because why not? I think he made contact with one of the Alpines, I think it was. So, over the next few laps, there was a lot of good battles on track. Piastri, he made a couple of moves, got back into the top 10. The Ferraris and Max, they were putting on a great show, and it kind of all came to a head on lap 6 when Max Verstappen just used Lewis as a device to brake and make turn 1. Literally, Lewis was turning into turn 1, and Max just hit him to get ahead. That's just not an F1 racing move. And I'll say it again. Yes, Max is the best driver in the world from a talent standpoint, but he seemingly just still does not know how to battle fair. It's tiring. After ramming Lewis off track, he cut turn 2 like crazy. And then on the run to turn 3, Hamilton locked up while trying to get back past him, and he went off track, cut that escape road at turn 3, turn 4 complex, and he cut the escape road and joined ahead of Max. Max also went a little wide at 3, and George Russell, who was trying to get ahead of Max, went wide at turn 4, and both those moves opened up a door for Oliver Behrman. What? Yeah, Oliver Behrman in a Haas got ahead of both George Russell and Max Verstappen there. Absolutely insane stuff. Absolute just amazing stuff there. But it wasn't awesome stuff for the FIA. They were on one all day. They gave Lewis a 10-second time penalty for that. And it wasn't even for not using the escape road. It was because he left the track and gained an advantage. And yes, technically because he did pass Max, but Max literally rammed him off the track to gain that position. So how is that not leaving? How's that not gaining an advantage? Also, probably should have only been a 5-second penalty, but that's semantics at that point. But yeah, I just don't understand how you're gonna penalize that, but not penalize what Leclerc did and what Max did. I mean, Max left the track on lap 1, and then he did what he did to Lewis on lap 6. I I don't understand it. Like, people that still, like, claim that the FIA has, like, inherent British bias, or, like, the FIA is against Max, like, I don't think you actually watch the sport. I think you just get all your F1 information from TikTok. Like, that is... I'm sorry if that sounds extreme, but I don't understand how you can watch this product and come to those conclusions. Anyway, though, somehow we're only on lap 11. Oscar Piastri, he finally got past Yuki Tsunoda on the straight with help of DRS to get into 8th place. And I'm going to jump ahead now to lap 24. Lewis Hamilton, he came in to serve his penalty and get a new set of tires, of course, and he came out in 13th place behind Alex Albon, and after the rest of those guys would come into pit, he was 9th behind Piastri, so very costly penalty there. There was also good racing action during this section of the race. Lando built a crazy gap over Max, who was in second with neither of them coming into pit. And there was battles between Mercedes and Yuki Tsunoda and Oscar Piastri, so good stuff there. Then on lap 34, Lando finally came in to pit to get rid of his soft tires. Kind of insane how he was able to get those, preserve those for 34 laps while building a 28-second gap. Like, that was just a masterful performance. Like, say whatever you want about the guy, but you can't take away that performance from him. That was amazing. On lap 48, Piastri and Kimi Antonelli both came into the pits. Kimi Antonelli was ahead of Oscar. This was the second stop for both of those guys. And McLaren, for once in recent history, had an amazing pit stop. He jumped Kimi Antonelli for 6th place in the race. Max also shot back up into 3rd place around this time. That knocked Oliver Behrman out of a podium position. Very sad. Things kind of mellowed out for a while after that. The only thing really worth talking about was Oscar was just getting closer to George slowly, and by lap 60, he made a move down the inside of turn 1. George would then lose another position to his rookie teammate. Then, as we got closer to the end of the race, Oscar was creeping up on Behrman for 4th, and Verstappen was creeping up on Leclerc for 2nd. But before anything could happen, yellow flags happened. They were waved on the penultimate lap, and those yellow flags turned into a virtual safety car, which really didn't seem like it needed to happen. And the reason I say that is because the safety car was for Carlos Sainz, who, for what the fans saw on TV, they only saw him behind a barrier, and so kind of felt like it was unnecessary. The FIA released a statement, and I'll just read it quickly. They said, on lap 70, Sainz spun and stopped in the runoff area outside of turn 14. His car came to a halt in exposed position. The car subsequently began smoking, and race control received notifications of fire, making it clear that marshal intervention would be required for a recovery as a standard procedure. When marshals are deployed to recover a car, the race is neutralized. In this case, a virtual safety car was triggered until the car was moved to a safe location behind the barriers. And then they went on to say that the VSC ended as soon as the car was in any protected position, and the race concluded under green flag conditions. And, like, sure, whatever, fair enough for the first part of that, but the part I have an issue with is that the VSC didn't end quickly. Like, Carlos was just behind the wall, and they were still under the VSC. So that's something that they need to be better at. And like I said, it was just a great day for the FIA and the stewards. On lap 3, they sent 2 marshals running across the track. Liam Lawson almost killed them. And then the Mexican Racing Federation had the absolute gall to try to blame Lawson. So just genius was going around. It was contagious. And it's worthy of me bringing out my rarely given out award, the Lance Stroll Medallion of Excellency. I give that to everyone involved in race control, stewards, all of those people. You're all knighted. Boom, boom, boom. You're knighted. So yeah, just an absolute day for the FIA. That rhymed. But yeah, I don't think the VSC affected much of anything at all. Because Piastri was still a second behind Behrman, and with his struggles to pass people, I don't think he would have gotten it done, even with Behrman being in a Haas versus Oscar in a McLaren. I just don't think that 1 second gap would have been cleared in 2 laps. Verstappen might have got past Leclerc, though. But after the race, Max said something to the tune of how, safety cars and VSCs have helped him a lot in his career, so who is he to complain if a VSC goes against him? And honestly, respect for that. Fair play. But yeah, just kind of ruined the end of the race. Lando crossed the finish line on lap 71. He had like a 30-point-something gap to Leclerc in second, and then, Verstappen was third, Behrman fourth, Piastri, Antonelli, Russell, Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, and Gabriel Bortoleto rounded out the top 10. And Lando's win gave us a new championship leader, Andrew.
For the first time since when, do you know?
Saudi Arabia, I believe.
Charlie's nodding.
Yeah, so there we go with that. And yeah, Lando is leading the championship by a gigantic, ginormous, absolutely massive singular point. And then Max is 36 points back of Lando. And not that it's going to end like this, Andrew, but I did the math, and if Lando finishes second in all remaining sprints in full-length races and just manages to keep Oscar behind him, he would be the champion, even if Max won out. And it's not going to end like that, but I thought that was a little interesting. What's really impressive to me, though, is how Lando, over a course of 5 races, gained 34 points on Oscar. He had that mechanical DNF at Zandvoort. He was 34 points down. Everyone thought he was dead, and then he did something that we've really never seen before, which is make up that many points in that short amount of time. He's been on an elite run of form, which kind of carries me to my next section, right? He finally looks like he has found himself in that car, and after struggling earlier in the season, but the difference between Lando struggling and Oscar struggling is that when Lando was struggling earlier this season, people were calling him a bottler and saying that he didn't have the it factor to be a champion. He was finishing second every single race. And now when Oscar's struggling and finishing an average of 5th, he's not a bottler. It's not that he doesn't have the makings of a champion. It's the McLaren supposedly sabotaging the car. Like, is that really the narrative that we're going with? I mean, just absolutely zero claims of responsibility, zero. He doesn't get any flack at all. It's McLaren sabotaging the car, right?
F1 fans are totally not toxic.
Yeah, it's excuses. But genuinely, like, what are people waffling about? Oscar is simply struggling and crumbling under the pressure. That's kind of just the extent of it. Like, I think he's lost some confidence recently. I think that might affect him, but that's just me guessing. Like, that's not factual information, but like that makes 10 billion times more sense than, McLaren sabotaging the car. Do you know how awful it would be for McLaren if it got out that they were sabotaging the car? They wouldn't even risk that. And why would they do that anyway? Like, what? Like, I think it's fair to say that Zach Brown might like Lando a little bit better, but that's because Lando's been there for like 7 years and grew that team from absolutely just bottom barrel back into what it once was. And it's not like Zach Brown likes Lando so much more that he's going to order the team to sabotage Oscar. Oscar said that it's not the car. So his fans are quite literally just embarrassing themselves. I know I've gone super long, but there is something from Mark Hughes, who he knows his stuff, Motorsports Magazine writer. He explained, at least at Mexico City, what happened between Lando and Oscar. And I think this is pretty interesting, Andrew. So he said that both Austin and Mexico City featured very low grip surfaces, and Piastri didn't adapt his driving style the way that Lando did. He said, they have quite different techniques. They load the car up on corner entry in a very different way almost everywhere. But around those two tracks on those days, it left Piastri trailing by about 0.5 seconds. Looking in detail at Mexico, the particular challenge around the high altitude smooth surface here is that the fronts is to have the fronts up to temperature by turn 1 and not have the rears overheating by the final section. We know that Oscar isn't as good at managing his tires at Lando. Yeah, that gap is lessened, but we know that that's true. So that is an explanation that makes sense. He said Norris's pole lap was 0.588 seconds faster than Piastri's 8th place lap. All of that, plus a little more, is accounted for by Piastri losing 0.25 seconds into turn 1 due to his front tires not being up to temperature, and 0.343 seconds in the long, slow final corners because his rears were too hot. Piastri was understeering, there was more lock, blah, blah, blah. Lando was adapting his driving style better for that track, and that's the end of it. Make sense?
Sure.
Thank you for being supporting co-host, Andrew. Charlie, you're an F1 fan. Do you have anything to say about this?
I think you make a really good point that Piastri fans and I suppose Lando detractors are making much ado about nothing with bringing up conspiracy theories, quite frankly. You got to give the props to Lando right now. He looks like the better driver. And to be fair, as a biased party, I'm not the biggest Lando fan, but he drove his butt off in Mexico City. I mean, how do you have softs and go 34 laps and still have a 30-second lead on Leclerc? That is just diabolical work. Diabolical work, Ethan.
I'm replacing you, Andrew. Go yap about NASCAR news, though.
And now for the news.
It's not what the thing says.
Brother.
You always do.
We literally
back to back.
We literally don't, though. But Jenson Button, he's in the news because he announced that next weekend at the 8 Hours of Bahrain, that will be the last time that he is behind the wheel of a racing car. 2009 Formula One champion, of course.
NASCAR driver.
No NASCAR driver.
NASCAR at Le Mans driver.
Yeah, 15 Grand Prix wins. He's driven Le Mans. He's driven supercars. He's driven rallycross. He's done a little bit of everything.
Sporty car.
Sporty cars. He just kind of explained, he's got young kids and the week to week of racing and all that stuff. It's just time for him to move on. Hey, can't blame the guy. He has had an absolutely amazing career in motorsports.
Mm-hmm.
Go spend time with your family, dude. Yeah, great stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Second piece of F1 news. If you weren't tired of our segments on the court cases going on in NASCAR and IndyCar, let me introduce you to Laura Villers, who is taking the FIA to court.
Yay!
Because she tried to run for the presidency back in December, but something about the FIA election rules essentially barred her from running. And so on November 10th, there will be a court hearing about this. I'm not good with the legal stuff, so I'm not really going to get into it. But, yeah, the BBC has a pretty detailed article about it if you want to get more into the weeds. But as more digestible information comes out and, once we learn a little bit more than just, okay, this is a court case that's going to happen, we will update you. But, yeah, it's very interesting because there's been so much made about challenging Mohammed bin Sulayman's presidency of the FIA and then not challenging it. And then, it's just been a ongoing storyline in different forms for quite a while now. So I guess it'll be interesting to see where this goes. I don't really know where it'll go, of course. I'm not a legal expert. I don't know really what potential outcomes for this are, but I assume that at least one potential outcome is that we do get an election between MBS and Laura Villers, or MBS and some other party. And then I guess the other outcome, or at least one other potential outcome, is that nothing happens. So, yeah, who knows? We'll find out soon enough, I suppose, in about 2 weeks.
Speaking of court cases, Ethan, IndyCar had a lawsuit wrap up that I forgot existed. Ed Carpenter Racing was suing former sponsor Todd Alt and his many companies. They lost that suit, so nothing happens, basically. Anyway, Marco Andretti retires from racing. He had pretty much been doing the only Indy 500s at this point. He said, "I am very much at peace with the next chapter in my life." Which, Marco was never the best racing driver, but he was a good one when he was at his peak. But he has been long removed from that peak, unfortunately. This is going to be the first time we're not going to see Andretti at the Indy 500 next year in a while, which is crazy to just think about.
Yeah.
So with that said, that's really interesting. And the team that's currently named Andretti Global, that could change names, will they even field a fourth car at the 500 now that Andretti has retired? And if they do, who will it be? If they don't, will someone want to pick up that engine lease, or will it just sit there? Because either way, it will be interesting to watch, see the developments of that. So that is notable.
You know what the rumors are saying?
What?
Rumors are saying that since Formula 2 just doesn't really have anything going on during the month of May, there might be a F2 driver that, I don't know, just maybe finds his way back to the Indy 500.
Is it Holton Curta?
I think it's something along those lines, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, moving over to NASCAR, because
you just can't get enough of law news. That's why you come to listen to a motorsports podcast, right? Because you just love court cases.
Looks like we're finally getting close to the end of this one. I am looking forward to it.
I think that's what we've said about 800 times.
Well, we've got maybe a month of this left, at most. And NASCAR's counterclaim lawsuit dismissed. So yeah, so that's like. So with that being said, it looks like now that the teams are likely to win this lawsuit. Now that's what that's what it looks like is gonna happen. But you never know, because the arguments and things and this thing and that thing and the other thing and yada yada yada. I hate this, I hate that. No, you're wrong, and no, you're wrong. Yeah. Everything can just flip 50 different ways. Because at one point we said, oh yeah, the NASCAR is gonna win, and we said, oh, the teams are gonna. Can it be over? So that's my thoughts primarily. Anyway, moving over to Kaulig Racing's Ram lineup, as they are dropping their Xfinity program. Daniel Dye and Justin Haley are added. Haley, former Cup driver, going down to trucks. We've seen Cup drivers do this, go down to trucks and then have them come up full time. And John Hunter Nemechek comes to mind as a guy who went down to trucks full time and rebuilt his career. Nothing else is coming to my mind right now. Daniel Hemrick has done that now. Has currently done that. Matt DiBenedetto tried that. He moved up to Xfinity, but has been dumped from that ride. So we'll see if that works. We'll see if it doesn't. Anyway, to our final piece of NASCAR news, Sam Mayer, after the Xfinity race, decided to intentionally wreck Jeb Burton.
Yeah, not great stuff.
No, not great stuff. So Sam Mayer, you get the chicken award. I'm going to edit it in now. So yeah, just some stuff. Like you shouldn't be. You should not let your emotions get the best of you on the cool down lap, because safety workers begin to come out, stuff like that. And he was suspended for it because points penalty isn't going to matter. He's been eliminated from the championship. So what would be
what else can you do?
What else can you do? NASCAR's hands are tied in that. So I agree with NASCAR. So moving into the previews, Ethan.
And now for next week's race previews.
I'm going to start off with a truck series. Corey Heim, he is the guy everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
Double-digit wins this year. And like, that's basically in half the races he's won. He's had an insane season in terms of wins. So he is kind of the man to beat. Here's some of his thoughts.
I don't ever really sit back and view myself any sort of way. I mean, at the end of the day, we're all tied in points, and it's whoever can come out on top, obviously. But yeah, I mean, I feel like we're definitely on top as far as a statistical perspective goes this year with our 11 wins. But I never really have put a lot of thought into it. It's all about just this one race and who can shine at Phoenix. So yeah, that's kind of where we're at.
And then, kind of the next guy in my pecking order is Ty Majeski. He's the defending champion. He knows this racetrack, how to win. He's good at these flat.
He's done it.
Yeah, he's done it. He's good at these flat, short tracks. So here's some of his thoughts.
For me, it's just another race, but I feel like until somebody dethrones us, we're the ones to beat, especially here. So I'm excited to get out and see what we got this afternoon and carry that into tomorrow. I like our race truck. I like our setup. I like what we're coming with, the plans that we have to deviate if we need to. We're prepared to battle just about anything this afternoon. That'll pretty much set the stage for tomorrow. I mean, this is a very important practice, and have to have our T's crossed and our I's dotted, and have good practice this afternoon.
And then, Ethan, we go down to a couple other drivers. The only other driver not named Corey Heim that has a win this season of the championship for is Tyler Ankrum. Tyler Ankrum, he's had an interesting career.
Definitely.
Started his career off at a part-time ride with DGR Crosley. Missed the first few races because he wasn't old enough. And then won a race on fuel mileage. And then he had a few sponsorship issues, so he ran a few starting parks at Nemco Motorsports, Joe Nemechek's team, to keep his eligibility for the playoffs. And then after that year at DGR, he wasn't renewed, which was interesting to see because I thought they were going to be a combination could potentially run the truck series. Then had 2 years at GMS Racing where he just was okay. Just kind of wasn't anything spectacular. Then 2 years at Hattori, again, nothing spectacular. Then at McAnally Hilgeman Racing last year, does pretty well. Had 5 top 5s in the season. He only had, in the previous 4 seasons where he was full-time, he only had 7 top 5s. And then 2 more in his part-time year. So he performed when getting 6 top 5s last year. And then this year, started off strong, crashed at Daytona, but then 6 out of 7 races were top 5s. The other one was a top 10, and he won at Rockingham. Since then, he's kind of fell off. A Few bad finishes throughout the summer. Had mixed in with some top 5s, top 10s. Last 3 races, he's got top 10. So it's kind of interesting story there in terms of his career.
You would kind of think, saying that sentence, you'd kind of think we're all thinking, oh, we're racing for second place. That's not really the mindset, though. I say that, and it comes from more of a place of respect than anything else, and what they've done this year. So you're still racing for that trophy. You're still trying to win the championship, but you know you're going to have to be perfect. To go beat him, it's going to take more than perfection, actually. It's probably going to take a little bit of luck, to be perfectly honest. They've just been switched on like that all year long. So, no, the mindset is perfection. From when you wake up in the morning to make your bed to when you brush your teeth that night, from when you practice and you qualify, every input, every lap has to be perfect.
And a guy who's had that in just one season, Caden Honeycutt. Start off season at Nice. You predicted him to make the playoffs. I did not.
I did, yeah.
So I'll give you credit there.
I didn't think he would make it all the way to the final 4. No. I think I had him
getting bounced early.
Yeah.
But he started his year at Nice. Then he made an announcement saying he's going to be driving a Toyota middle of the year, and he said, "All right, you can go now. You don't want to be at this program? You can leave now." So he took a 1-race deal at Young's Motorsports to keep his playoff eligibility at Watkins Glen, then finished the year at Hallmark Friesen Racing. That truck opened up after Stuart Friesen had a crash that hospitalized him, sidelined him. He's getting back to racing. Here's kind of his Honeycutt's thoughts on how Stuart's been a leader this season.
Yeah, with his injury, it's definitely not easy for him, but he manages to make sure that we have everything we need. Him and Miss Friesen, when I got there, I didn't really realize they didn't have any PR people or nothing like that. They do it all by themselves, and they work extremely hard to make sure everyone has what they need every single weekend, every single day. So Stu has just been awesome. I can't wait to have him here and get to show off our speed and have him here, hopefully win the title with him being here. So he's recovering good, but also he's doing dirt modified stuff. He's won his team won Eastern States last weekend. Miss Friesen got on the podium in the small block, so he's staying busy, but he also makes sure that we have what we need, and he's a very awesome guy, and can't wait to see him back next year.
Anyway, I'm going to go through my rotating drivers as I always do. Brent Cruz in the 1 Tricon truck, Nathan Bird in the 02 Young's truck. Here's the Rayum trucks: 2 Clayton Green, 22 Mason Maggio, 33 Frankie Muniz. The Spire trucks: 7 Stefan Parsons. He's going to be Connor Zilich's spotter next year in the Cup Series. As Zilich announced that today. Corey LaJoie in the 77, Greg Van Alst in his own 35. Tyler Reif makes his debut in the Truck Series for Nice Motorsports. That's a guy I'm circled on as a potential sleeper for next year. 44 for Nice, Andres Perez. 44, Bailey Curry. As mentioned, 52, Caden Honeycutt for Hallmark Friesen. His teammate, Cole Butcher. Hallmark Friesen, they're going to do 2 trucks full-time next year, so that's kind of cool. Luke Baldwin in the 66 Thor Sport truck. And 74 for Mike Harmon is Caleb Costner. Moving up to Xfinity Series.
Yeah.
Let's go reverse order.
Okay.
Worst to first. Carson Kvapil, Ethan.
Yeah.
Rookie driver. He's had a quiet year. Very consistent. A lot of solid.
Consistency gets you places.
And he quietly marched his way through the playoffs to get to the championship 4. And here are his thoughts.
I feel like my mindset going into this weekend is it's very laid back, right? I feel like I'm just kind of like, we'll finish for 4th at the worst. I can't complain about that, right? But I just want to go in, and this whole team, we haven't been the guys that won 10 races. We haven't gotten all the poles, we haven't led all the laps and been dominant and stuff like that. But how this playoff format is formatted, it doesn't require you to win 10 races. It just makes you get into the Final Four and get that opportunity. So for me to be in this position, it's time for us to go prove what we can do. And I feel like all season we've kind of been fighting stuff, and we have problems. The car's not that good, or I'll make a mistake and stuff like that. And I feel like all that stuff just needs to be cleaned up for one race. And honestly, it's going to be the easiest one of the year. You just got to go beat 3 other people.
Yeah,
Those were some good thoughts.
Oh, Ethan. Yeah. Moving up on a guy who I think's a little bit more likely to win the championship is Jesse Love. Jesse Love surprised me. He only has 2 career Xfinity Series wins. I thought he had more.
We were talking about this on our drive back to downtown Phoenix from the track in Avondale, and yeah, we thought he had, double or triple that amount at least. But still, we're very high on Jesse Love, both of us. We talked about this a lot. We're both very high on Jesse Love, but given the next 2 guys that we're going to talk about, he's probably more likely than Quapple, but still going to be a long shot for my fellow Bay Area native.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely. I have some extra confidence that all roads lead to Rome in a sense when I come here, that I'm going to be a champion. But yeah, I just have a kind of a calm confidence about it when I show up here, and subconsciously, definitely those other championships help me. Even in, I don't even know what year it was, but when I was racing the 16 car, we had all these motor problems, and the engine didn't run. We had some wiring shortages when we went to the dog leg, so everything was against us. We shouldn't even finish the race, and we still won the championship because some guy thought the white flag was a checkered flag, and then my car hit the dog leg weird and fired back up, and then I won the championship by a tiebreaker. That stuff is definitely circumstantial, and I just again have more of a confidence that I feel like it'll all work out for me in the end.
Moving on is a similar situation to Majeski, the guy that won last year. The little Gator himself, Justin Allgaier. He's had a few wins this season.
He's had a weird, interesting year.
He had a few wins this season, and he had a very good run last year. Had 2 pit road penalties back to back that put him a lap down, and it was eventually got back on the lead lap, drove all the way up to the lead at one point, and finished, I believe, 2nd or 3rd, won the championship.
He finished second right after Riley Herbst.
So he's a guy who's shown that he can do it at Phoenix. He's very well at Phoenix. He's one of the better drivers there. Out
of all the guys on the Xfinity grid, he knows, or at least in the championship he knows that track and has had more success at that track than any of those other guys. For sure.
Absolutely. Yes, Jesse Love has won 2 ARCA West championships there. Yes, Connor Zilich won our ARCA West race there. But still, that's not the level of success all guys had.
He's done it at a higher level.
In the Xfinity Series, which kind of gives him, at least I feel, a bit of an advantage.
I don't disagree.
I don't know that there is a favorite or an underdog this week, right? I think that when you look at the season, when you look at the speed all 4 of us have had, when you look at the teams, I'm racing against 2 teammates, right? I said at the beginning of the year that I thought we could have all 4 of our Junior Motorsports Chevys in the Final Four, and it got really close. There was a moment in Martinsville where that was a possibility, right? So, I think that, for all of us, we all have different strengths, we all have different weaknesses, and I think the conditions, how the race plays out, what that kind of looks like could be all the difference in the world of whether one of the 4 of us is sitting in the championship role. So, I'm excited for this weekend. The only advantage that I probably have over the other 3 is that I've at least been in this scenario and I've dealt with the stresses and the processes and all the things that go with it. But on the other side of it, you never really know how you're going to react in a Game 7 moment until you've lived it, right? And these guys are going to find things out about themselves that they probably didn't even know existed, and they might unlock something in their own journey through this that makes them better. So I'm here for it. Like I said, I think winning one last year has allowed me to be a lot more free in this year, and I'm not as nervous. It's funny. I'm coming in this weekend with no stress at all. Like I'm just pumped on this weekend, and I'm excited to see it kind of cap off.
Moving on, we have Connor Zilic, the guy,
the prodigy.
Dude, I've only in terms of when I started watching the Xfinity series was around like 2017 when I really started to pay attention to it. There's only two guys I've felt have been generational prospects. Ty Gibbs, which he had a great feeder career but hasn't done the Cup Series, and Connor Zilic. I would put Connor Zilic ahead of Ty Gibbs based on what he's done. Went on a crazy run of form in the middle of the summer, winning pretty much anything. He was just insane, and has won double-digit races this year. It's funny that we were talking in the press conference today. It's not a clip I'm going to play, but one of the reporters said, "You live alone now, right?"
Yeah.
And he's like, "No, I still live with my parents, and I'm probably going to be the only guy who lives with his parents in the Cup Series next year."
That will be on socials if you want to go. At TLW Show on Twitter, and then just at the Loose Wheel Show on Instagram.
Yeah, makes me feel old. I've been living outside my parents for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
It's like, am I starting to become old at the ripe age of whatever it is now? I don't even know.
Zilic is like 2 years younger than me. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, it's
year and a half maybe, but
whatever. Regardless,
it's too much.
It's too much. They're getting young. Makes me feel old. Anyway.
I don't know if I'm the favorite or not. I feel like Justin's really good here, but obviously I won the ARCA race. I finished fourth in the Xfinity race, and although we didn't do great in the spring here, I feel like I've got a good understanding of how to be successful here. So I'm confident in myself. I don't know what the outside perspective is, but I'm certainly excited to get to go race for a championship, and I'm confident in myself.
Here's what he had to say.
Again, great thoughts.
Moving on to the guys that change. We got some funky stuff going on with Alpha Prime and Joey Gase. They did some owner points or subleasing of their cars. Glenn Reen is going to be in the 5 for Alpha Prime, with that car is being ran by Joey Gase's team. Josh Williams in the 45 for Alpha Prime, but that is an Alpha Prime car. Patrick Emmerling in the 07 for SS Greenlight. Brendan Butterbean Queen in the 11 for Colleague Racing. He's going to be one of their truck drivers as well next year, so that's 3 of the 5. Corey Day in the Hendricks 17. Justin Bonsignor back in the 18. William Sawalsh still out with concussion-like symptoms. Eric Almirola in the 19 for Gibbs. A couple of changes due to Mayer's suspension. Nick Lights in the 28 for RSS. Kyle Sieg moves to 39 for RSS. And Ryan Sieg moves to the 41 for the Haas factory team. Back on that Joey Gase car stuff I was mentioning earlier. Stephen Parsons is driving to the 35 for Joey Gase, but that's an Alpha Prime car and team just running a Joey Gase number and under the banner because whatever. And then Joey Gase is going to be in the 53 car for his own team with his own staff. So just two teams basically switching numbers and banners for the race. 70.
It's crazy how that's allowed.
It happens all the time.
I know, but it's just crazy to me.
70 for our Cope is Leland Honeyman Jr. He's moving to the Nitro Motorsports team next year in ARCA. That'll be interesting to watch down there. 74 for Mike Harmon is Dawson Cram, and the 91 for DGM with JIM is Josh Bilicki. Moving up to the Cup Series, I'm going to give out the data. As a 7.25 for Phoenix. That's higher up than I think what most fans feel. I always say Phoenix is an underrated track. And there's my data saying, oh, I agree with myself. There's actual numbers say, oh, I like this better than most fans. The five guys to watch out for. There's only 4 here. Anyway, I'm moving a 5th over because that's how I want to do this. Denny Hamlin, 2-time winner at Phoenix. I wonder why. We've got Chase Briscoe, winner at Phoenix. Wonder why I added him. Kyle Larson, winner at Phoenix. William Byron, 1-time winner at Phoenix as well. And Joey Logano, who's won there 4 times as well. Honorable mentions: Kyle Busch, who's won there twice. Chris Bell won there twice. Chase Elliott and Ross Chastain each won there once. If you noticed, Ethan, 4 out of the 5 guys in my 5 were the championship 4.
I did notice that, actually. Yes.
So, Ethan, we'll predict everything later.
Okay.
But in my head right now, with the 4 guys, I don't know I would say, oh, there's an outright favorite. Like, for me, with the Xfinity and Truck Series guys, I would put like Corey Heim, Connor Zillage. I would give them like an over 33% chance of winning versus a 25 if everyone's even. I just think they're so far ahead of everyone else.
Yeah.
With Cup, I don't think I can do that. I think that, like, if you tell me, Andrew, place numbers on this, I'd probably go like for I'm gonna say favorites, maybe like 27, 28, and then guys I don't believe in as much, 22, 23. It's just that the Cup Series is so good with so much talent. It's so hard to predict. All 4 of these guys have won at Phoenix before, so it's like,
I agree that it's a lot closer.
The closeness is like, if you were to write one driver off, I would say no, that driver can win it. Like, in my head, I was going to say, oh, there was a driver that I said, oh yeah, I think I can write this guy off. Then I looked at the thing and said, no, I can't. I still think that he's probably going to be last, though, but honestly, it's like if you were to shuffle 4 cards in the deck. Even. Right. You don't know what the order's going to be, like, if you're doing truly at random. Yeah. This is what I think the championship 4 is. And I think in the past, I've always been able to say, ooh, there's a guy that I think I can just say, he's not going to win. Mm-hmm. Ross Chastain, when he was in it, I said, nah, I don't think he's going to win. I feel like there's been years where you can say that. This year, not that year. And Denny Hamlin said it best himself. So, even though he's won the 5 of the 9, like I mentioned, and he mentioned too, it's still tough. When the guy who's won the first race, it does put him at an advantage. Mm-hmm. I think that's something to look out for. That's more sim time you dedicate to Phoenix. And that's why we've seen it work in the years past. Yeah. So, anyway.
As far as like the odds of who's the favorite, gosh, I mean it's just too hard to sell. I'm in the sport week in, week out, and I can't tell you one of us that has an advantage over another.
Denny, for what it's worth, the guy who has won the first race in the round of 8 has
5 out of 9.
5 out of 9. That's more often than not. So, do you feel that gives you any advantage?
It has. It's simply from a preparation standpoint. Obviously, when you prepare for a test, this is a big test coming up on Sunday. You either have a lot of time to prepare for the test, or you have to cram at the last minute. And this is the first time that I've had significant amount of time to prepare for the test. So certainly it's a little different this time around, which I think that's probably why you've seen those kind of results.
Moving next on my list, I'm just having an order of the guys I have listed here. His teammate, Joe Gibbs Racing, Chase Briscoe. I don't think anyone had Chase Briscoe making the championship at the beginning of the year.
Probably not.
If you were to look at that team, you say, Christopher Bell, he's made the championship recently a few times.
Last year he should have been in.
Last year he should have been in. You I think a lot of people were higher on Hamlin than I was, certainly.
I was on that train.
But you look at him and the body work he's done, even though he hasn't won a championship yet, he's proved that he always likes to do well in the playoffs.
He's the greatest driver to never win a championship, probably.
I think I would agree. And then there's Ty Gibbs at Joe Gibbs Racing.
Who's Ty Gibbs? You know.
Yeah.
Sorry, Morgan. I know you're listening.
I don't think he's listening.
I'll make him listen just to this part.
Because Ty Gibbs, he's looking like a bust, which is disappointing because of what I mentioned. His junior career earlier was so good, and now he's looking like he might not have it. But regardless of that, a lot of people were doubting Chase Briscoe, saying, "Oh, this guy's he's okay. He was okay in Stuart Haas equipment. Why is he going to be good at Joe Gibbs?" Whatever they've done at Joe Gibbs, they have done something right.
Yeah.
Here's his thoughts.
I mean, anytime you go to a racetrack you've won at before, I guess there is a certain confidence just because you know you can do it and you know you've done it before. But, I mean, the cars are so different, especially, in my situation. And even just, that was 3 years ago, so a lot has changed. But I still think that just when you go to a track that you've won at before, you're just a little more excited to go because you know you've done it before.
Anyway, moving down the list, we have the Toyotas. We don't have the Fords this year. No Penske driver made it.
Which is huge for these guys.
Because in the 3 years of the next-gen car racing at Phoenix for the championship, Penske guy has won the championship for. Whether it's Logano or Blaney. So this opens the door, say, hey, we got to establish ourselves if you're Toyota or Chevrolet.
Yeah.
Now, 2 Chevrolets in. Was the only guy in the championship who's won the championship. Kyle Larson. He's looking to become the 3rd driver currently on the full-time Cup Series grid, joining Logano and Kyle Busch as a multi-time champion, which is something huge. Because he's definitely a Hall of Famer. First ballot Hall of Famer, probably. But that just cements his legacy as one of the best of his era, if you can get 2 championships. Because since the
only 17 guys have won a championship 2 or more times.
And since the beginning of 2000, I think only Stewart, Johnson, Logano, and Busch have won multiple championships. That's 4 guys, Ethan.
Yeah.
Parity is king. And if Larson gets a championship now, he is 1 step closer to getting 3. And only a handful have had 3, which that number shrinks. And if he gets 4, he's tied for 4th most with Jeff Gordon and Cale Yarborough for championships.
Which is kind of
huge.
crazy.
So you look at those things and say, yeah, this is a guy who could be great, but he's got to win number 2. You can't get too far ahead of ourselves. So here's what he had to say. He wasn't the most optimistic.
Yeah, that doesn't really matter, but I just enjoy this track, and I've been decent here in the past. I've won, like you mentioned, but I feel like we've almost won, a few other ones too. So hopefully this week we can be, competitive again, and hopefully be more competitive than we've been.
This guy. To me, he kind of seemed more subdued in his interview, Ethan. I don't know if you got the same thing.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
I think part of that's his personality, but regardless,
seemed very calm, in my opinion.
Going on to his teammate William Byron. He's a guy who just hasn't been able to win the championship for, which it's unfortunate because he's a guy who's shown a lot of talent with crew chief Rudy Fugle.
Regular season champion?
Yeah, regular season champion. If we were doing a full season points championship, he'd be at or near the top, depending on if you use the current points format or if you go back to the Winston numbers under that system, which is two different rabbit holes, regardless of if you use a playoffs or a full season championship with those points, which is two different rabbit holes. So we're not going to go on this shot this time because of time constraints primarily. That's just something to note there.
Yeah.
I don't think about that much. We could be going to any racetrack. It could be my weakest racetrack by stats-wise, and I would prepare for it equally as much. So, yeah, I don't really look at the past success or just feelings here. I'm sure it'll come to mind at some point, but it's not top of my mind when it comes to preparation.
Those are his thoughts. Moving on to open teams, J.J. Yaley is running the 44 for NY Racing, and Casey Mears is running the 66 for MBM Motorsports, Garage 66. As those two teams, Ethan, if the NASCAR wins this lawsuit and says, and the court rules that they can offer up these charters to other people, these are two potential teams that I think could do bidding. Especially they've had a huge commitment on the grid. I think they've raced half of the races thus far, or around half. So regardless, it's time for the pick points.
And now for next week's race picks.
For the first time in a long time, I've gained points on Ethan. I have gained a solid, 8 points. If I were to do that for the final 5 weeks, I would be 4 points short of Ethan in the championship. So this is kind of the pace I have to run. It's got to get 8 or 9 points to close on Ethan here, which is it's possible. Just got to keep grinding it out. If I have a chance, I'll take it. Ethan, 334, guess 293, 41 back. I am 290, 44 back. The guest had a solid week as well. The guest and I had Lando, Max, Oscar, F1 podium. We got 5 for Lando, 1 from Max on the podium. You had the correct podium, just in all the wrong positions.
Happens.
You had Max, Lando, Charles. That got you 3 points to our 6. We both had Corey Heim, the guest and I. That gained us 5 points because he won. I had Eric Almirola. You had Connor Zilch. And the guest had Justin Allgaier. Almirola beat those 2 drivers, getting me 1 point. Ryan Blaney beat Christopher Bell, getting you 1 point, Ethan. So I took 12 points last week. You took 4. Guest took 11. Guest this week, Noah, who is covering this week as well. He has not got back to me on picks. So yeah, we'll talk. I'll tell it. Well, by the time this episode airs, or by the time we get to next episode, we'll know who he's picked. Regardless, I'm going to enter my picks now. Ethan.
Yeah.
You picked, I feel, I'll let you talk about your pick.
Well, for the Truck Series, I picked Corey Heim. I feel like we've already talked about all these guys and, why they would be a good pick. Corey Heim has been absolutely just otherworldly dominant this year. Picked up, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 wins in 24 races, winning nearly every other race. He's just kind of heads above everyone else this season. I respect what Ty Majeski did last year. I thought he had a great year. I was kind of, rooting for him to get a win this year at multiple points throughout when I was picking him, even though the wins just weren't coming. And I think it's going to be really, really difficult to finish ahead of Corey Heim this year, especially if you're just not winning races. I think there's something to be said about going out there and having experience winning races in a season that prepares you for what's essentially a wild card game, except it's Game 7 of the World Series. So for that reason, I'm picking Corey Heim. I don't believe that he has a win at Phoenix in any category that he's competed in.
He has not.
But it's not because he's not a good driver, you know what I mean? And last year he finished second. I don't see what can really stop him from winning this year. I don't remember if it was Corey Heim or someone else, but a driver today mentioned that they feel that Richmond is the closest track to Phoenix in terms of comparison. And I mean, well, Corey Heim won there.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. But I'm going different. I'm going with someone outside the championship four. Guy who's very good at the flat tracks as well. I originally thought Ty Majeski, but no, I like this guy a little bit better because I am going to go with Lane Riggs. He's got something to prove, Ethan. Yes, he just got an extension, but I think he feels I should be in this championship four. I was the second best driver all season long, and I need to prove it. What better way to prove it by winning the championship four, stealing the show, which I feel that in the Truck Series, that's the series where it happens more often than not, it seems like to me. I just because Matt Crafton, when he won his championship, I don't think he won that race. 2 years ago, Christian Eckes winning that race. The first year, Ben Rhodes won his championship. Again, it's kind of where the series where you don't have to win the championship.
Okay, so who do you think is going to win the championship?
That's where I was going to segue to here, Ethan. I think it will be Corey Heim. I think he knows what he needs to do. He knows he doesn't need to win. He just needs to beat the other three guys. And no disrespect to Caden Honeycutt and Tyler Ankrum. I think there's a good possibility where they just sit and finish like back half the top 10, 7th, 8th, 9th, 6th region. So with those two guys kind of afterthoughts, that opens the door for Heim and Majeski. And Majeski just hasn't had the speed this year, so he'll run, I think he'll still run top 5. I think that's third, fourth, fifth. And Heim knows he can beat that. He doesn't need to push his truck to 10 tenths every lap. He's smarter than that. He doesn't need to go battle hard for a race win. He can sit there in second and win the championship. Something that has eluded him, and I think his entire racing career in NASCAR at least.
Yeah.
Moving up to Xfinity. Again, Ethan, you have the floor.
It's Connor Zilic. It in my opinion, it's a very similar situation to Corey Heim, where Connor Zilic has just had so much of a better season than anyone else. The only thing that scares me, like, the littlest bit is, like, he had a streak finishing inside the top 5 from Charlotte, which was the 13th race of the season, until Las Vegas, which was the 30th race of the season, which is just a crazy run. And there was so many wins in there. But the last 2 rounds, he's finished 23rd and 9th. So, scares me a little bit, but he is just so unbelievably talented. I don't see how he doesn't win this race. Last year, in only his 4th Xfinity Series start, he ran well. He won the ARCA race, ARCA Menard Series West race last year. He's just so incredibly talented. Yes, Justin Allgaier has the experience. He has the ability. He's shown it. Last year he had a true champion's drive. But Connor Zilic just, he's mind-boggling.
Yeah, he is. I'm not going to go Connor Zilic. I'm trying to make up points here, Ethan. That's clearly evident by my picks because I want to win this championship. I'm not dead yet.
Andrew put the fries in the bag.
I might have to after this weekend, but I want to beat you. I don't care. There's still hope. So anyway, I would probably go Zilic if it was close, but I'm not. So I'm trying to figure out points. I can close in. And to me, Ethan, when I talked to Justin Allgaier, he seemed that he came off to me as someone old and wise. I don't mean old in a negative way, but just a wise guy who knows what he needs to do, where he has to do it. Connor Zilic has never been in this position before.
No, he's not. But Justin Allgaier said that you never know how you're going to perform in this situation until you get thrown in, and one of the guys that's never done it before, they might adapt to it even better than he has.
That is true, but it took 7 times for Justin Allgaier to figure it out.
I don't think it's going to take 7 times for Connor Zilic to figure it out. Not that he has 7 times because he's racing in a different series next year, but you get the point.
Yeah, I like you said, I think he'd figure it out before sometimes if he had 7 cracks at it. But I see Justin Allgaier as someone who knows how to get around Phoenix especially well. If you want to dive into Twitter conspiracy theories, hold on, hear me out. The first Talladega crash, or Connor Zilic wound up missing Texas because it broke him and he made him good. Really good. And then he crashed at Talladega again, but didn't miss a race. This one could potentially bring the factory reset back down to earth.
That's a funny theory. So I definitely don't subscribe to that, but I appreciate the goofiness of it.
It is out there. I will admit it. But I'm trying to push a narrative where guys that I have win the series.
Okay.
that's how it's got to be done. I still think Justin Allgaier is really good at Phoenix, regardless of if you say, oh, he'll win or oh, he'll not win. I think you can pencil him for top 5. Same thing for Connor Zilic. Regardless, I think it's a top 5. Jesse Love and Quapple, not sure where they're going to finish. I think back half top 10, maybe top 5, maybe, but I don't know. Moving over to the Cup Series, Ethan, once again, I'll give you the floor.
If there's one driver in the Cup Series this year that I supported the most in terms of me backing their ability and their talent in my mind, it was Christopher Bell. But not far behind was a driver who I not only supported in terms of his skill and what I thought he could do, but I stood up against Andrew in debates throughout the season and preseason about what this guy could accomplish this year. He's old. He could even be retiring soon. He's got a new crew chief. What's the deal here? Through all of that, Denny Hamlin has put together one of his best seasons in recent memory, maybe even one of his best seasons ever. And what would truly make it his best season ever is if he could do something that he's never done before, and that is win a championship in the NASCAR Cup Series. This guy had such an amazing career, but it's been that one thing that's eluded him. And despite that, today, he didn't seem desperate. He didn't seem like it was something he needed. He just seemed calm, seemed cool, he seemed collected, and really all those guys did. But it was just something in the way that Denny held himself that, I wouldn't even really know how to explain, that just reassured me that I was right about this guy this season. Not I didn't pick him to win the championship, but I picked him to have a year that would exceed expectations, and he exceeded even the expectations that I set for him. So why not see it through to the end?
There have been 11 championship races under this format. The guy who won the first race in the round of 8 won 5 of them, including 5 of the last 9. Which Denny Hamlin brought up to me. But I'll look at the championships in the next gen era. All 3 of them. 3. That's the number that all 3 drivers had in wins at the end of the year.
This is out there.
Hamlin, he has 6. So
he's twice too good.
The guys who have won the championship just haven't had it.
This is a reach even for you, buddy.
I'm just going off of stats here. And then all of in the Phoenix era, there are 2 tracks that all of the winners there's been 2 tracks that the championship drivers have won it 3 or more times. Las Vegas and Charlotte. And I think it's time for a new track to join them. This will be a 3rd. Kyle Larson has won at Homestead, Bristol, and Kansas. The only time that someone had won at Bristol and Kansas before Phoenix was Kyle Larson. That's only once. Homestead. No one's won at Homestead and gone on to win the championship. So that eliminates Larson. I look at the results in the spring. Chase Briscoe had a crash, finished 35th. So that leaves William Byron to win the championship. But, as we've seen often at Phoenix, in the next gen era, the driver who wins the championship isn't always the race winner. That trend will continue. What do we always say? What have I been saying the past 9 weeks about Phoenix Raceway?
A lot of things.
The Fords are good. There's no Fords in the championship 4. They can still say, oh, we've still got Phoenix on a chokehold on Phoenix. And when we are back next year in the championship 4, you will fear us. They have a chip. I would imagine those guys have a chip on their shoulder. They're going to go out and win. Which one? I like Ryan Blaney to win this race and become another guy who could potentially be an upset. Spoiler. He has never won at Phoenix before, mind you. I think he wants to win this race as a non-championship driver badly.
Okay.
So with all that said, it's kind of a long episode. For episode...
So who's your championship pick?
William Byron.
Okay.
That kind of by default there. For episode 43, my name is Andrew Hazelin. That is Ethan Ignatowski. Good night. Goodbye.
They might not be watching this at night, Andrew.
That's why I said
that's
goodbye.
Bold to assume that. Bold to assume that.
Goodbye, anyway.
To me, it looked like he actually lost the wheel.
The wheel for Ross Chastain is still and perfect.
Wheel on the track.
Did you leave the wheel loose?
You picked the fine time to leave me loose, wheel.